welcome to the video. This is the first time that I filmed any kind of intro before I know exactly what's going to happen, so I'm a little bit nervous. So far my rule of thumb has been to have like one life thing and one art thing at least to talk about, and I know what those are going to be. I just don't know how they're going to turn out. The art thing is that I have a painting in an art show. It's this one. I didn't film any of the process. This painting started life as a digital painting, and I got it printed at a printing company on canvas, and then I painted over it with acrylics, and I found this really cool, I don't know if you can see it on camera, this really cool like relief silver thing. And then I also did my first ever attempt at silver leaf, which was difficult because I didn't have clear glue, so I used paint to stick it to the canvas, and I'm really scared it's going to come off. But I didn't film because I was really nervous about doing acrylic painting for the first time in years, and I just kind of wanted to get into the zone and not think about like if there was a camera that could see what I was doing, and the self-awareness that comes with that. So at the very least I can take you along for the process of it being in an exhibition for the first time, because that's never happened to me before. I'm very excited. I'll see you later. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jess, I'm an artist, and these videos are all about me trying to recover from burnout. Also, I got hand tattoos and ears. Got it safely dropped off. I got lost on the way there because Google sent me to the wrong place, but I don't really know how I missed it because it's in a giant retail park and it's like right there as soon as you open the door. But yeah, I will go and see it again along with everyone else's stuff at the opening. I have been fascinated by reptiles for a very long time, and now I've been a keeper of them for a while too. I have two little guys. The first one is Pip. She is a leopard gecko, and she is, I think, 8 years old now. Number 2 is Bean. He's around 5, and he is a western hognose snake. About a year ago, I bought a huge snake tank for Bean that I felt was better for his needs than the one I used to have. It was, I'll see if I can put a picture of it here, but I ended up with a really severe case of research paralysis and I couldn't decide what was right for him. However, whenever I had some time off work recently, I felt quite strongly that I needed a project, something to get myself out of bed. So I decided to commit to a naturalistic vivarium, which was a little simpler than the bioactive one I'd wanted to do. Bioactive vivariums have like a whole ecosystem to them that requires a little bit more setup, but I just wanted something that looked nice and could give the reptiles some nice enrichment and make them feel a little bit more like they're in their natural habitat. Thankfully, Bean and Pip have pretty similar needs. They're both like roughly the same size, and they prefer arid environments, which just means they like it to be dry. The only main difference is that Pip is nocturnal and eats bugs, and Bean likes to dig a lot. That's what his little shovel nose is for. So part of the reason I got that big tank, the snake tank, was so that I could create this huge big depth of substrate so that he could dig around and make tunnels. Sand isn't really a safe substrate on its own for reptiles. It can get stuck on their stomachs and give them impactation. But I used a mixture of play sand and topsoil and a little bit of excavator clay to keep its shape, and that stabilizes it a little bit and makes it a lot safer to use. It also looks really naturalistic, and I think the reptiles like the texture of it too. I had started to dehydrate them in the oven over time in preparation to put them into Bean's tank, but then I changed Pip's substrate in a recent tank clean, and she hated it. Previously she had been on Reptile carpet, which was fine for her because she only has little claws and they can't really get caught in it, but it was starting to get really gross and hard to clean, and I was really concerned about bacteria, so I changed it out just as like a temporary thing until I could get her new tank set up. But either she couldn't find the prey on the substrate, or she literally went on hunger strike on me. But I decided that it had been a little bit too long since she'd had a proper meal, so I decided to use the substrate that I had prepared for Bean and make her tank nice and tidy for her. Whilst I was doing this, I also took the opportunity to put in some real plants and set up the cork bark that I had bought and some rocks. But Pip seemed to like this a lot more. I wasn't sure how the plants were going to do. I figured that they would die, and one might call that foreshadowing because they did and I had to replace them later. But Pip seemed to really like this tank, and she settled in really quickly. I even caught her sunbathing on the rocks once I had them set up for her. A few weeks later, I had finally dehydrated enough substrate to set Bean's tank up now. This tank had been a huge experiment. I tried to make my own decor with foam board and expanding foam. I was going to seal it with resin and paint it to look natural, but I ended up not really liking it that much. It cracked and the shape was weird and I just didn't really like it. So I figured I would just use a combination of his current decor and the naturalistic stuff that I could find, like cork and branches and natural plants. In both tanks I added excavator clay and a little bit of water to give it some moldability. This is another element of foreshadowing that you'll see very soon, but the idea was that I wanted it to be able to hold its shape and be diggable, which I think worked a little bit, but not really the way that I wanted it to. Because of the depth of the substrate, I was a little concerned about how hot I could get the tank to be on just the heat mat. So I also got a lamp that would heat from above and make sure that the air got to a good enough temperature for him, and also it would look pretty. I like how they look with the lights. So yesterday I filmed the temperature test that I did for the heat mat underneath here and the heat lamp, but while the temperature was good, it was like too humid. I added some water to the substrate so that it would like clump and keep its shape a little bit better, but I guess because there's so much more substrate than in Pip's tank, it actually brought the humidity up, and this is supposed to be an arid terrarium, so I do need to, it needs to be drier. So I am going to let it kind of air out today, and I have the heat mat on to try and encourage the moisture to evaporate a little bit, and hopefully it'll bring the water content down so that it's not too much for Bean, but still be able to like keep its shape so he can like dig holes and tunnels and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. As predicted, Pip's plants dried up quite a lot. I figured that putting them in their own pots would make it easier for them to take in water, so I took them out and got them set up whenever I was doing Bean's plants for his tank. One thing about little diggy guys is that if I just put plants straight in there, he would immediately stick his little snoot in and dig them up and push them out of the pots. So the only way I could keep them safe was to copy a technique from the channel's called Serpent Design, this YouTuber who does a lot of really extensive tankscapes for a whole range of different animals. But for his king snake, he had used screen mesh and zip tied it to the top of the pot so that he couldn't get into the pots and dig up his plants. And that seemed like a swell idea. So any plant that I had that was going into Bean's tank got a little mesh cover on it so that he couldn't get his little snoot in there and dig it up on me. Moving the tank was harder than I thought because all the substrate in it made it really heavy, but we figured it out. When I put Pip's plants in, I decided to do a lot more rearranging than I had originally planned, and she was really curious about what I was doing. To an extent, and then she got bored. All in all, I'm really happy with how the tanks turned out. I think the reptiles really like them. I've seen them exploring around and nosing around and basking and using like all areas of the tank in ways that I'd really hoped they would. So even though they're not true bioactive, I think they are a lot more natural to what the real life habitats of these animals would be, and hopefully will give them a lot of joy for many years to come. they certainly make me really happy to look at and to watch. Oh, hey. Do you like my shirt? Hello again. Thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this video. This has been a bit of a hectic month. Work got busy and I've been dealing with some like life admin stuff that, all going well, I'll be able to talk about next time. But in the meantime, Blue needs walked and so do I. So I will see you next time.